I'm planning to do the review with you, not the entire review, but just the odd numbers. It says graph each function on the same set of axes as a parent function. So this is a cube function, so I'm going to type in x to the power 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the table. I do expect you to write the table down. So I have x, y, and we have -2, -8, so I have -2, -8, -1 is -1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 8, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect the points. Now I'm going to graph the other function, which is shown here, and so I have parentheses x minus 3 raised to the third power, and you notice that x minus 3 is going to shift to the right, and I know that it shifts, so I have 1, -8, and then I have 2, -1, 3, 0, and I know that I graphed the first one wrong. 1, -8, 4, 4, 1, 5, 8. So the domain for g of x, because that's what I need to find, the domain is going to be -infinity, positive infinity. The range is also -infinity, positive infinity. The x-intercept is 3, 0. Now for me to find the y-intercept, I just have to let x equal 0. So I'm going to come over here, and you have 0, -27, so that's going to be the y-intercept. 0, -27. So the domain is all real numbers, the range is all real numbers, the x-intercept is 3, 0, and the y-intercept is 0, -27. For number 3, it's asking find the minimum and maximum value of this function over this interval. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the graph, and I'm going to type in the graph. So I have 2 parentheses x plus 1. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise it to the third power, press enter, and then I'm going to go to the table, menu, table, split screen, and my interval is from -4 to 6. So in this case, it's probably good to have a horizontal table. So you have x, y, -4, -54, -3, -16, -2, -2, -1, 0, 0, 2, 1. 1 is 16. I'll continue making my table over here. 2 is 54. 3 is 128. 4 is 250. And then 5 and 6. 5 is 432. And 6 is 686. So 686 is your max, and -4, -54 is your minimum point. Find the inverse of f of x graphically and algebraically, and then graph the function and the inverse and describe the relationship between the functions. So this is your function. So let's graph that first. So we're going to go ahead and do another graph, a cubic graph. So we have 2 parentheses x minus 3 raised to the third power. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and graph this first. So I have, here's my table. We have x and y, and I know that we have 2, -2. Then we have 3, 0, 4, 2, and then we have 5, 16. So it looks like this. If I want to write the inverse, what will I have to do? That's the question. Well, we know that we will have to switch the x and the y values. So we have -2, 2, 0, 3, 2, 4, 16, 5. So we have -2, 2, 0, 3, 2, 4, and then of course 16, 5 we can't draw it. So it looks something like. Now remember, when we have these two functions, we have f of x, and then we have the inverse of f. We know that the mirror will be y equals x. And so I want you to go ahead and draw the mirror. So here's a mirror. It's just a reflection of the two functions over y equals x. Now the second part is we have to go ahead and find the inverse. So we have y equals 2 parentheses x minus 3 cubed. So to find the inverse, we got to switch. So we have x equals 2 parentheses y minus 3 to the third power. We got to solve for y, so we have to divide by 2. So we have x over 2 equals y minus 3 to the third power. And we know that we need to get the cube root. We have to get the cube root. So it's going to be the cube root of x over 2 equals y minus 3. And since we're solving for y, we have to add 3 to both sides. So we have y equals the cube root of x over 2 plus 3. So if I were to draw this, which I'm planning to do here, so I have menu, table, remove table. So here is the function. So go to menu, function. So control 3, correct? And then we have x divided by 2, and then we have plus 3. Enter. And so you see both. You have the inverse and the function. You notice that they're a reflection over the y equals x. So you go to menu, graph, function, and you have y equals x, enter. And there is our mirror, and our picture looks just like that. So you're going to have to do that on the test, all right? 10.3, explain the transformation that takes place as compared to the parent function. This is missing an x here. So this will be a reflection over the y-axis. And that 1/5 is going to be horizontal stretch by a factor of 1/5. So it's a reflection over the y-axis, and it's a horizontal stretch by 1/5. Number 11, we have 3 times the cube root of 2x plus 6 equals 18. So we're going to go ahead and divide by 3. So we have the cube root of 2x plus 6 equals 18 divided by 3 is 6. Next, we're going to go ahead and raise it to the third power. So when you raise a cube root to the third power, it's just going to be 2x plus 6 equals 6 times 6 is 36. 36 times 6 is 216. We're solving for x, so you subtract 6. So 2x equals 210 divided by 2. So x equals, it's going to be 105. And we can check. So we're going to substitute 3 cube root of 2 times 105 plus 6, and we're saying that it's going to equal 18, and let's check if it is, and it is true.